Now, let's move to some news from the UK. Police over there are replacing patrol cars with what they call hate crime cars in an attempt to encourage people to report hate crimes and mean tweets. The cars will be painted with pride rainbow designs along with police insignia. That's not all that's happening in the UK. They have also reached the 1 month milestone since Freedom Day, where the government removed all remaining COVID restrictions, even though the country was recording around 50,000 new cases a day. I'm joined by one of our favourite Brits, political commentator and host of Reasoned UK, Darren Grimes. Darren, thanks for joining us. Tell us about these clown cars, hate crime cars. What's been the reaction to this news?
Oh, it's mental, Rita. It's good to be with you. I mean, Rita, put yourself in the position of a hardened criminal, right? A real menacing thug. And imagine one of these rainbow so-called hate crime cars turns up with an officer that gets out of the car wearing a rainbow polo shirt. And he isn't exactly going to instill the fear of God into you, is he? I mean, you're right to use the word clown cars. They are clown cars. And increasingly, the police force in this country is being taken as a clown force, not the enforcers of the law here in Britain. And I think the problem is, right, that most people, Rita, and this happens in Australia as well as Britain, they are concerned about high levels of, or increasing levels of crime in certain parts. In our capital city, for example, in London, there are mothers that are calling for continued stop and search tactics to ensure that their son or daughter manages to make it home that evening without falling victim to knife or gang crime under the leadership of Mayor Sadiq Khan. Things have got that bad. So when you consider all of that, you would think that the country's top police cheeses, arguing that these cars, flags and garments actually give confidence by having that rainbow out there in the community. That's their language, not mine. And I'm sorry, but as a sort of long-suffering member now of the ever-elongating LGBTQIA plus alphabet soup, whatever it is these days, a member of that rainbow-clad cult, Rita, I say this is patronising guff. This isn't some country in which gay men and women go about their business in a permanent sort of state of fear. This is a country in which gay men and women can live their lives as we always long to do so, as members of society, Rita, that are just as boring as heterosexual couples. And long may that continue. There is absolutely no justification for these moves, extravagant excesses on the taxpayer and the politicisation, actually, of our police force to this extent. People want the police out there solving actual crimes, solving burglaries, for example, violent crime, which they're saying they can't do because they're overstretched at the minute, criminal damage, people attacking statues and all of these other things, instead of driving around in vomit-inducing clown mobiles.
Well, Harry Miller, who's a former police officer, said, well, we don't see them met with special cars for knife crime, even though the numbers of stabbings in London is appalling. And you have a massive knife crime issue there. And yet these rainbow cars are what the police are choosing to promote. And apparently this is the brainchild of a police officer, Deputy Chief Constable Julie Cook. So she's a member of Police Command. Yes, and she is, a couple of years ago, attracted a bit of attention for posting this video. Let's have a look.
Being misgendered can have a huge impact on somebody and their personal well-being. It also can be used as a form of abuse for somebody, and that just isn't right.
So how obsessed are the police over there becoming with things like misgendering and mean tweets on social media? Well, is this a real focus, or are we overplaying some of this rhetoric?
Rita, you would think that in this country there were people out there, gangs going out searching for the next trans person they can get their hands on. This is all at a time when the police are saying that they haven't got taxpayer funds to go about ordinary policing. Well, how then are they wasting so much money on these clown cars, these lanyards, these polo shirts, these videos that they're putting out there. Police forces are spending vast sums, for example, and you've spoken about this before, on membership of the charity Stonewall in this country, Rita. Now, they have some very controversial views on, in my view, rendering the term woman completely meaningless, rendering biological sex, the fact of that immutable fact, completely meaningless by arguing that trans women are women. And if that's the view of the police force, if misgendering and all these other things are priorities for the police, why are they taking overtly political stances, which they can't do under law, right? The police are not there to be proponents of certain political stances. I actually think it's time for the Conservative Party in this country, let's not forget it's been in power for over a decade, to actually get a grip, Rita. We want law and order in this country. We don't want whackery and wokery. You would think Meghan Markle was in charge of the police in this country.